A KG veteran gets it done down on the high banks. Mueller picks up a win in the North Country. We go in the pits with someone you guys are quite familiar with. I'm not sure if The Who had this in mind when they wrote the song Pinball Wizard, but hey, this'll work. Race Pro Weekly, yeah, let's go. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Heading into the month of July at the Valley of Speed, Brett Hearn has a stranglehold on the point lead with Ronnie Johnson looking to chase. Let's see if the Jet can increase that lead in our opening highlight brought to you by Landho Maintenance. Meet and greet night at the Lebanon Valley Speedway. The Kingfish out there, Jeff Meltz, Gary O'Brien, the Sand Lake Slingshot, Kenny Tremont, as well as Robbie Pitcher would lead the 30-lap modified feature event to the green flag as the field would work its way up into turn number 1 and 2. Ronnie Johnson looking to make a move, trying to cut the deficit from Brett Hearn's point lead a little bit as Kenny Tremont tries to make a move on the inside and keep flag for position as well. RJ on his way in the early going, looking to crack the top 5, just a couple of spots outside of it in the early going, working around the outside that time of the X of Wayne Jelly. Field will get bundled up for just a second as Hearn and Tremont trying to make their way up through the field. Mike Keeler currently sitting in that number 2 spot as Eddie Marshall working his way through the top 5 would look to get by the 34 of Steve Huff. He would clear the 34 machine, then work to the inside of Keeler for the runner-up position up off of turn number 2. They're side-by-side off of turn number 4, but when you give Eddie a fast race car on the bottom, you know where he's going, and that's toward the front as he would put the car into position number 2 with 10 laps completed. Robbie Pitcher would be leading this one, but Marshall would have the fishing pole on the front bumper looking to reel them in here as they move toward the midway point as Marshall very fast on the inside working his way up through turn number 3 and 4, and he keeps it locked down right on the bottom. New race leader in the form of the Marshall Oil Company, car number 98. The 42 of Kyle Sheldon working down to the inside of Mike Keeler looking for spot number 3 as they battle on the west end of the speedway as Marshall way out in front of this one as the KG veteran looking for a much-needed win, and he would get it, taking home the 30-lap feature event at the Valley. That wasn't it, though, as they come off of turn number 3 and 4. Ronnie Johnson and Mike Keeler make contact, sending Keeler down the front of the racetrack into Kenny Tremont. Tremont hits hard on the inside, a tough break for both drivers as they come to the checkered flag. But again, Eddie Marshall picking up a huge win at the Valley of Speed. Robbie Pitcher would have to settle for second. Kyle Sheldon would finish in third. RJ coming home fourth, and Keith Flack would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, 358 Modifieds, no shocker there, going to Kenny Tremont. Cody Oakes would grab the win in the Sportsman. Pro Stocks, the Jason Meltz, Gary O'Brien in Pure Stock number 1, and Jeff Meltz Sr. in Pure Stock number 2. We'll start you off with some street stock action up at the Track of Champions, and from where I come from, this ain't good. Up and over, oh boy, that's not, yeah. All right, to the Modifieds now. 50-lap feature event on the money for this one, as it would be the 21P of Pep Karate winning the race up into turn number 1 and 2. He would take the early race lead in this feature event. Craig Hansen trying to work his way up on the outside lane, along with Jimmy Davis to try to get by Kenny Sparks and Darwin Green here in the early going of this feature event. As the field looks to work its way through, there's Bobby Varon in there as well. Josh Hohenforce making a move on the outside. Craig Hansen working with Pep Karani as they work their way down into turn number 1 and 2 as he looks to try to take the race lead away. Tim Fuller would also be on the move with the 19 as he would crack the top 5 early in this event, getting by the 34 machine of Jimmy Davis down the front stretch as he looks to make a move. Meanwhile, here's Hansen looking for the race lead up off of turn number 4 as they go back down by the Cow Palace. He looks to take the number 1 spot away, and he does from Karate here with just 20 laps in the books, and the 19 of Tim Fuller going to follow to take the number 2 spot away. Oh, I forgot to mention, Stuart Friesen's in the field in this one. Yeah, he was up there into the number 3 spot early, and I don't know if you've ever seen Stewie race at Fonda, but he's pretty good. Stewie going to keep his foot in and on the inside through turn number 1 and 2, sneak right by Fuller for the runner-up position, then try to close the gap on Craig Hansen for the number 1 spot. He'd get him coming off at turn number 4, and he would be your new race leader, and there's still 20 laps to go in this feature event. So the 44 up to the front. Here's Fuller trying to close the gap in on Hansen for spot number 2 as Friesen with a big gap in front of this one. As they work their way down the backstretch, Fuller would clear the number 20 machine, but yeah, there's Stewie. He's gone. He wins again. No shocker here. Friesen takes the checkered flag. Fuller would finish in second. Bobby Barron would get up to spot number 3. Jeremy Wilder fourth, and Josh Hohenforce would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Dan Santa Barbara with the win in the Sportsman. Luke Horning grabbing the win in the Pro Stock. Street Stocks going to Jason Samroff. And the Limited Sportsman going to Derek McGrew Jr. It's now time for this week's John Ray and Sons fan poll question, which is, who is your pick to win the truck race at Eldora next Wednesday night? Log on to Facebook.com/RaceProWeekly, and the answers will be read on next week's show. Let's take a look at last week's question now. Would you like to see a dirt track run weekly during the week instead of on the weekend? Well, this one kind of as expected. Most of you like those weekend warriors just a little bit. When we come back here on RPW, we head back down to the Garden State with some action at Bridgeport, plus highlights from Empire Super Sprint Speed Week.
Hi, I'm Eric Pope, General Manager of John Ray & Sons. We're proud to be offering Bryant heating and air conditioning systems. Just like us, Bryant has been delivering home comfort solutions for more than a century.
Call today for a free consultation and save up to $875 with Bryant bonus rebates.
I'm Michael Laporte, Service Manager. From sales to service, our goal is to keep you comfortable, whatever it takes. Ductless AC is a perfect solution for homes without ductwork, new additions, or anywhere you need cool relief.
Call or visit johnray.com today.
You know, Mother Nature makes the best products, and Ghent Wood Products in Columbia County has figured out the secret. We use locally harvested trees, milled and kiln-dried right on site in Ghent. We stock rough-cut lumber, green or kiln-dried. If you prefer finished products, we offer that too, including shiplap, flooring, paneling, exterior siding, and tabletops. Come check out the reclaimed mushroom wood and barnwood siding. We combine the mill experience with a retail store, so you can go straight to the mill and handpick the wood you want.
There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly as we head down to New Jersey in the Bridgeport Speedway for their 25-lap modified feature event. Is Ricky DeEva going to take the early race lead in this one? Wayne Hendrickson looking to work his way on the inside lane, but here comes Ryan Watt taking off like a cannon to make it 3 wide up on the outside lane. He'd be a factor possibly before this one's over, but Richie Pratt at number 28 already working to get his way up into the top 5 as he works his way on the outside lane as well. DeEva would be challenged by the 0 of Neil Williams as they work their way up into turn number 1 and 2. Here is Williams trying to make a move on the inside lane as cars still trying to work their way up through the field. Here's Watt up on the outside lane right in front of Jimmy Horton looking to make a move off the corner as DeEva still holding this one as the field starts to bottle up. Billy Pouch working the outside lane, but he's going to be passed by Ryan Watt, who cracks the top 5 here in the early going of this one, as Watt going to try to work his way down and hold off the number 1 machine, but Watt will switch lanes to go to the outside. I expect nothing less from the electric company as he gets into the top 5 here and trying to make his way toward the front. DeEva still your race leader. Williams still holding on to that number 2 spot as they power up into turn number 1 and 2. But here's Richie Pratt working up on the outside lane. He'll take the number 3 spot away down the back straightaway and now look to set his sights on the 0 of Williams. Here's Pratt going to work the cushion up on the top side this time, looking to make a move to get by him up off of turn number 2. We're moving into the closing stages of this one as Pratt uses his momentum to take the number 2 spot away with just a handful of laps to go, and he wasn't stopping there. He would go around in turn number 2 to get by the 85 of DeEva as he would take the number 1 spot away. Williams would slide by DeEva, and the race was on looking for that elusive victory, but don't look now. Here comes the electric company. Ryan Watt making a move on the outside to take the number 2 spot away from Williams here in the closing laps of this feature event. He'd get that close to Richie Pratt, but it wasn't enough as Pratt picks up the win down at Bridgeport. Second would be Ryan Watt. Neil Williams would hold on to third. Jim Britt would finish in fourth, and Tommy Beamer would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Sportsman would go to Parker Golden, and the Mid-Atlantic Sprints going to Ryan Stillwagon. Night number 1 of the Empire Super Sprint Speed Week at the Can-Am Speedway, as it would be the 53 as Sean Doneth taking off like a rocket down the back straightaway as cars get together up in turn number 3 and 4. Paul Kenny going to go around in turn number 3 as that would set up a restart. Mike Kaiser trying to hold off the 0-0 of Danny Varon for that number 2 spot as Mike Mahaney right there as well as they fight for position. Wouldn't be long until Varon would sneak by the 53 of Donna, up off at turn number 2 as the 0-0 would go to the front. Donna trying to battle back as he tries to hold off Mark Smith for that number 2 position. He would hold on to it and now set his sights back on Danny Varon here with just a couple of laps to go in this one. They pull side by side down the front straightaway as Donath would take the lead back with just 2 laps remaining. Here's the final lap now. Varon on the inside. Here's Donath up on the outside. Donath looks like he has the run to get it done, but he slips up the cushion. That allows Danny Varon to bring home the win at Can-Am on night number 1. Night number 2 saw the feature move to the Land of Legends Raceway as it would be the 45 of the Cobra. Chuck Ebing getting out to an early race lead. Mike Mahaney trying to thread the needle, getting through there. Brett Wright in there as well as cars try to push their way up through as the Cobra would lead lap number 1 in this feature event. Chad Miller would be holding on to that number 2 spot here in the early going as the caution would come out and actually a red. And he ain't happy. He's taking out on the steering wheel. A tough break for the 121 machine. Off the restart, Matt Tanner trying to move into the number 2 spot as he holds off Chad Miller for position. Is Mark Smith going to try to move to the inside? A racing Jason Barney working for 4th up off the inside. Here's Steve Boyer working it up to the outside as well. Tanner trying to hold off Smith for that number 2 spot and run down the Cobra. But it wasn't happening as the Cobra, Chuck Ebing, would pick up the win on night number 2 at Land of Legends. Night number 3 goes to the D-shaped Dirt Demon as Jason Barney and Steve Poirier would take the early race lead up into turn number 1 and 2 as Fireball working it through the outside of the racetrack, trying to hold off the 87 machine. You know he ain't coming off the bottom as they work to click off laps in the early going of this feature event. Brett Wright would go around. That would set up a caution off of the restart. It would be Poirier back to the front as cars trying to work their way up. Danny Varon up into the number 4 spot as he's going to go 3 wide with Donathan Hebing down into turn number 3 and 4 with the Cobra slinking it up through the middle on the outside, looking to get by Jason Barney. Barney would backslide to 3rd as the Cobra would take that number 2 spot away down the backstretch. Now the battle was on. 2 veterans of the Empire Super Sprints fighting for that number 1 spot as Poirier would go back out to the front as the caution would come out for the 90 of Matt Tanner. Off the restart, 3 wide as the Cobra slips the lube on the outside of the race car and throws it up the middle to take the race lead away as they work it through turn number 3 and 4. But Poirier would make the move off the outside lane and get the number 1 spot back, and you weren't stopping him in this one as the Fireball would go on to win night number 3 at the Brewerton Speedway. Night number 4 would move to the Fulton Speedway as Jordan Poirier and Danny Varon up at the front of the field in this one as cars try to work their way up early in this event. Mike Mahaney trying to push his way up on the outside lane, getting by Paul Kenny and Larry White for position, but the battle in this one was between Poirier and the 0-0 of Danny Varon as they would work the inside and outside for the majority of this event through lap traffic as Jordan Poirier keeping it up on the top. Danny Varon trying to make the move as they look to split Matt Tanner up off of turn number 3 and 4. Field would work its way off the corner as Varon would take the race lead back from the 28 machine, but here's Jordan Poirier rim riding up on the top as they go around the outside, and look at this split. These two look to make it easy through the corner as Danny Varon continuing to push to the bottom of the racetrack as he would hold on to that position. Meanwhile, up through the corner, Jordan Poirier would retake the lead on the outside lane as the 0-0 had to shift up a little bit, and that would be all she wrote as night number 4 of Speed Weeks going to the 28 of Jordan Poirier. To recap your 5 winners, Danny Varon would pick up the win at Can-Am. Land of Legends would go to Chuck Ebing. Steve Poirier picking up the win at Brewerton. Jordan Poirier with the win at Fulton. And Utica Rome on Sunday night would go to Matt Tanner. And your CNY Speed Week champion, the 0-0 of Danny Varon. When we return, we head to the North Country to see what happened up at the Airborne Park Speedway. Plus, we head to the Great Race Place to see who would pick up the win in Friday night's action. Keep it locked right here on RPW.
Spring is finally here and the temperatures are rising and the deals are hotter than ever. Hi, I'm Charlie Morris of Morris Ford in Burnt Hills. You have to come in for the hottest cars, trucks, and SUVs on the market today here at Morris Ford, all with leading technology and advanced safety. With thousands off and low payments, there's never been a better time to buy a new Ford. So come in to Morris Ford and let us show you why we've been selling cars in the Capital District for over 46 years.
Our reputation yours will always be number 1.
Reputable, reliable, results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered. Welcome back to RPW Sportsman action up at the Big A as Lonnie Rivers would lead the field to the green. Bucko Branham trying to work underneath as Jamie LaFountain goes around on the back straightaway. That would bring out the caution. Devin Willis would have trouble in the lead spot, handing over the top position to Bucko Branham, who would work his way through to win his third event of the 2018 season. To the modified division now, Travis Bruno going to make a move in the early going to get by Todd Stone, and here comes Jesse Mueller. Mueller would get by Bruno as well, and it would be all he needed to pick up his first career win up at Airborne Park. Bernier would finish in the number 2 spot. Chris Rabbie would come home third, Todd Stone fourth, and Danny Gagne would finish in fifth. In the Sportsman, it was Bucko Branham grabbing the win. Jason McClatchy with a much-needed second-place finish. Nick Haywood would finish in third, Justin Severance fourth, and Patrick Picotin would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Brent Jarvis would grab the win in the Super Stocks. Josh Laporte would grab the win in the Mini Mods. And Sean Walker picks up the win in the Strictly Stocks. We start off with King of Dirt Sportsman action as Tim Hartman Jr. rolls his way green to checker to pick up the victory. He got by Andrew Buff early on in the event to go on to pick up the win. We move on to the modified feature now as Hector Stratton would take the early race lead in the 35-lap feature event for the modified division as he'd roll down the back straightaway. Jackie Brown looking to make a move. 3-wide battle there as Jesse Mueller trying to thread the needle between Matt Depew and Bodie Bellinger for position as Stratton holds on to that race lead. Rich Rocca and Elmo Reckner battling toward the front of the field for that number 2 spot as the 17 machine rolling on the bottom as Jesse Mueller and the 20 of Brett Hearn trying to work their way up through the field as well here in the early going of this feature event. Hearn would eventually start to mount a challenge. He works around the 19 of Mueller trying to grab the position away as he would crack the top 5 early in this event. Meanwhile, Don Rocca trying to work his way down in the inside lane. He's there with Elmo Reckner as Rocca moves into the number 2 spot when the caution comes out for the 91 of downtown Jackie Brown. Off the restart, the Tony Mangino Mitsubishi car number 7 machine will go to the front. He takes that race lead away with Keith Flack and Brett Hearn looking to follow as the Jersey Jet working up on the outside lane trying to hold on to the position. But here's Rocca still battling with the 87. Flack and Hearn touch through turn number 3 and 4. Hearn tries to go to the outside. That opens the door for Keith Flack, who gets 2 cars in one corner, moving into the runner-up position. That would allow Flack to move to the outside lane. He'll take the race lead away from Rocca, and it looked like it was going to be smooth sailing from that point forward. The 3J of Mark Johnson trying to thread the needle, getting to the top 5, rolling through the middle of the racetrack to get by Rich Rocca. And remember when I said smooth sailing? Well, heavy lap traffic got into the way of the 43 of Keith Flack, and there's Brett Hearn on the doorstep, looking to the inside lane to take the number 1 spot away. He would slide in front of him as Flack gets bottled up. Flack going to try a bonsai move to the outside, gets caught behind Bobby Hackle, gets a little out of shape but keeps it rolling as Mueller gets by for second. Flack would eventually get that position back in the final laps, but it was all behind the Jersey Jet, who pads his point lead with the victory at the Great Race Place. The Ravenna Rocket will have to settle for a tough second-place finish. Jesse Mueller coming home third, Mark Johnson fourth, and Ronnie Johnson would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, as you saw in the King of Dirt Sportsman, Tim Hartman Jr. grabbing the win, Robbie Ettman picking up the win in the Pro Stock division, E.J. McAuliffe will grab the win in the Limited Sportsman, and Randy Miller would pick up the win in the Street Stocks. When we come back one last time, we head to the Green Mountain State for some Sportsman modified action, and we go in the pits with Kenny Wallace. Race Pro Weekly. We'll be right back. Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win. If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Welcome back to RPW as we head to the Green Mountain State at the Devil's Bowl Speedway for some Sportsman Modified action. As Alan Hammond going to take the early race lead along with Mike Palmer. Joey Scarborough working his way down to the inside. John St. Germain in there as well in the early going of this feature event. As Tim LeDuc and David Schilling looking to work their way up to the field with VQ2 on the outside lane, trying to make some moves as the field working off of the surface. Hammond still holding on to that number 1 spot, but look at this 3-wide battle for 5th. Ronnie Proctor and Tanner Siemens in there as well, as he's in there with Trevor Rock trying to fight for that position as the caution will come out for Bruce Loomis up in turn number 2. Off the restart, Mike Palmer would go back to the number 1 spot with Kevin Chafee trying to work the outside lane through the corner. Chafee would get by Palmer up off of turn number 4, and, well, there's a parking lot, and I may be a rocket scientist or not, but you ain't getting through there. Off the restart, Palmer would take control once again on the outside lane. That allows Scarborough to get by the 27 of Ron Proctor as well off of this restart, as Alan Hammond trying to hold on to that number 5 spot with Tim LeDuc working the inside lane to try to get by him. Meanwhile, here's where the battle for the lead would ensue, as here's the 73C of Kevin Chafee working down to the inside, trying to get by Mike Palmer for the number 1 spot up off at turn number 4, and it would be Chafee taking the position away. Meanwhile, LeDuc would follow, getting into the runner-up position off at turn number 2 as the Orwell Express would make his presence known as the caution will come out for Billy Lucier, Alex Bell, and flying Jimmy Ryan. Off of the restart, Chafee would go back into that number 1 spot with the heavy hitters starting to work their way up through the field. Chafee would take the spot away as now VQ2 works his way up, and now Josh Sung going to wheel hop Mike Palmer and go around as he completely twists the front end. Tanner Siemens gets into him on the backstretch as well. That sets up a caution with just 3 laps to go as Chafee tries to work the inside lane, and he will do it as he picks up his first win of the season out at the Devil's Bowl Speedway. Second would be Timmy LeDuc. Third, Vince Quinville Jr. Fourth would be Joey Scarborough, and Alan Hammond would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Limited Sportsman would go to Joey Roberts, Chris Murray with the win in the Super Stocks, Mini Stocks to Jason Porter, Mini Sprints to Brandon Emerson, and Diane Porter grabbing the win in the Ladies Mini Stocks. For many years, Kenny Wallace has been a mainstay on the NASCAR stage. But a couple of weeks ago, Albany Saratoga got to see him run in Brett Hearn's Big Show 10. Our own Fast Eddie caught up with Kenny to see just how much he loves dirt racing.
Kenny, how'd this deal come together?
Well, about 4 years ago, Dave Reifenberg, who owns Cedar Peaks and a good friend of Brett Hearn, he called me up and said, "Hey, Hearn, why don't you come up to the Big Show?" And I'm like, "What's the Big Show?" So we've been trying to do this for the last 4 years. First year, I was right here in this spot, and it started raining. Second year, it rained out. Third year, I was too busy, so here we are. And, Dave Reifenberg with Cedar Peaks, and of course, I think Brett Hearn asked Dave to get a hold of me, and, I admire Brett Hearn so much, one of the greatest race car drivers to ever live in dirt racing. He's won it all. So, when somebody like that asks you to do something for them, you do everything you can to help out.
Now taking a look, you're behind the wheel of the 36 with the Racing to Remember, a deal put together by Willie Akmoudi and his wife to raise awareness for Alzheimer's research. How's it feel to be a part of something like that and help raise money?
Well, Alzheimer's means a lot to me because it's kind of crazy that when I first thought about Alzheimer's, I thought of President Reagan. We lost him because of Alzheimer's. And then I have a pit crew member. His name's Don Schomburg. Don, he had to get off the road. He can't help us with our dirt car anymore because Don's wife has the start of Alzheimer's. So, it's near and dear to my heart. For some reason, I know so many people that have that horrible disease. So, any way we can help make things better, that's what we need to do.
Can you tell the fans what the difference is between the UMP modifieds that you normally run and these Northeast Dirt mods?
There's a lot of difference. Obviously, the Big Block Modified is a car of its own. I mean, you pretty much have to ask yourself, what type of race car in dirt do we sit in the middle? It'd be a sprint car, a midget, and I just didn't grow up around any of that type of racing. I admire it all. I love all of racing, whether we're running a go-kart or Formula One or whatever. But, the big deal about these cars is it's just a complete different sensation. It's no different than seeing Donnie Schatz go run a late model and he doesn't make the A main. So this is a new deal for me, but I'm all in. I'm excited to see what it feels like.
Why do you love dirt racing so much?
Because it reminds me of when I was trying so damn hard to make it in NASCAR. And it's something that the great Dale Earnhardt Sr. said to me. He said, "Herman, There are thousands of great race car drivers all over the United States, and they all aren't going to be NASCAR. And it just hit home with me. And from that moment, 20 years ago, it changed my life forever. I thought, yeah, because you'll go to a local short track, and there is some guy that will whip your ass. And you're like, you don't even know his name. And I think that's the guy Earnhardt was talking about. So, just because you're in NASCAR doesn't mean you're better than any of these locals. Maybe they just couldn't make it to NASCAR. Maybe they didn't know how to make it to NASCAR, and it's very limited. There's only, 40 cars that can race in NASCAR. So I love dirt racing because it's real, and it's what we're all about.
Taking a look, like you said, Brett Hearn promoting the big show here tonight. Do you ever see yourself promoting a series or a racetrack?
Well, we constantly remind people that I do own a dirt track. Myself, Tony Stewart, Kenny Schrader, and Bob Sargent, we own Macon Speedway in Macon, Illinois. Macon, Illinois is around Springfield, Decatur. So I've owned our own dirt track for about 14 years now. So I always remind everybody, hey, we're all in this together. And my brother Rusty says, Herm, you got to remind people because they remember what they want. So I paid it forward, and I'm all in.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week. And with his championship win in ESS Sprint Week, it goes to the driver of the 00, Danny Varon. Varon is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Bobby Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.